Welcome back, fellow developers, to another exciting tutorial on NerdyCodeCrafter. Today, we're going to dive deep into the world of CSS Grid layout. Hey there, ready to level up your style game? So what are you waiting for? Join the trendsetters and subscribe now. Your website will thank you later. Before we get started, let's quickly cover what CSS Grid layout is. CSS Grid layout is a two-dimensional layout system for the web that allows you to create complex layouts with rows and columns. Unlike other layout methods like Flexbox, CSS Grid gives you precise control over both the rows and columns of your layout, making it perfect for building grid-based designs. We have a container div with the class Grid container, and inside it, we have 5 child divs with the class Grid item. Let's add color real quick to each grid item to differentiate between them. Now, let's set up our grid by using the display Grid property. This tells the browser that all direct children of the container should be treated as grid items. For now, nothing happened. Let's add how many columns and rows we want. We can specify the size of each row and column using various units like pixels, percentages, or even the FR unit, which represents a fraction of the available space. We've created a grid container with 2 rows and 2 columns. The first row is 100 pixels tall, the second row is 200 pixels tall, and the columns are sized using the FR unit, with the second column being twice as wide as the first. I have added more items to make things clear. We can also use repeat to tell grid columns to have equal width. Also, how many columns we want. Same goes for grid rows. We can also position grid items using line-based placement. We're using the grid column and grid row properties to specify that the grid item should start on the first column and span 2 columns, and it should start on the first row. The gap property creates a column and row gap between grid items. The column gap property sets the gap between the columns. The row gap property sets the gap between the rows. Finally, let's talk about responsive layouts. CSS Grid makes it easy to create responsive designs by allowing us to define how our grid should behave at different screen sizes using media queries. In this media query, we're changing the number of columns in our grid to 1 when the screen width is less than 600 pixels, allowing our layout to adapt to smaller screens. And there you have it, a beginner's guide to mastering CSS Grid layout. We've only scratched the surface of what's possible with CSS Grid, so be sure to experiment and explore on your own. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more web development tutorials. Until next time, happy coding!